Alrighty, so we have Damir Hadzovic versus Yancy Medeiros. Alright, so Yancy has a 1 inch height advantage and a massive 5.5 inch reach advantage. Uh, Both these guys are on a bit of a losing streak, so Hadzovic is on a 2 fight losing streak and Medeiros is on a 3 fight losing streak, so I think you could probably say the loser of this fight gets cut, so there's a lot on the line here, which always makes it interesting. And Hadzovic, he hasn't fought too much recently. Like, I get he had the fight about a year ago with Moicano, but that was over in under a minute, and that was his only fight in the last 2 years, so he hasn't had a lot of cage time recently. And for Medeiros, he's only fought once a year for the past 3 years, so both these guys have been pretty inactive lately. So you may see a bit of a filling out process early. For Medeiros, he's mostly a boxer. He has very high output, constantly pumping out the jab, frequently switching stance, but yeah, just constantly pumping out the jab, and that's his calling card pretty much. And Hadzovic is also a boxer. Both these guys don't throw too many kicks. He likes to work off the front foot. He mostly throwing singular strikes though, where Yancy would be throwing combinations, but does have a really nice snapping jab, and I think that jab has a little bit more meaning to it than the constant touches of Yancy. So yeah, I think this will be a boxing match pretty much. Both these guys don't do too many kicks. Mostly just basic boxing combinations like 1-2s, the naked jab, the naked straight right. Sometimes I'll mix in a left hook, but yeah, most part this will be a boxing match, I think. How these guys win fights. So for Hadzovic, he's got a solid chin. He's tough. You know, Murbek Taisimov, that guy hits hard, and he took a lot of shots from Taisimov. For Yancy Medeiros, he has good cardio. He's tough as nails, very hard to finish, and he does have a little bit of deceiving power. Like, it doesn't look like he would have power, but he's got 7 knockdowns in his last 10 fights, so the guy obviously has a bit of power, and I think that catches opponents off guard. And for Hadzovic, he has a nice jab as well. I forgot to mention that. Very nice jab. And Yancy Medeiros, he doesn't have the greatest strike and defense. Like, you know, he is there to be hit, and he's getting older, but you know, he's been in a lot of wars. His durability seems to still be there, but you know, one day it's going to go. But yeah, strike and defense, he keeps his hands low, leans back with his chin exposed. It's very concerning. He also struggles with fighters that have good movement. Now, this isn't really Hadzovic, but I did have to mention it. And for Hadzovic, how he loses, he has terrible takedown defense. His poor get-ups, his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu game in general has a lot of holes. You know, he gives his back to get up constantly. His guard's easily passed. Yeah, and he's very hittable on the feet as well. He's plodding, he's slow, he's also got poor strike and defense, and also he can fall behind on the volume as well. He's got quite low volume, and which is something you can't say about Yancy. So I do believe that's one of the paths to victory for Yancy, and also just working the body, trying to drain at the gas tank of Hadzovic, try and get him on the back foot. He's not nearly as effective on the back foot. But if you let him walk you down, he does start popping at the jab, and that's when he's at his best. For Hadzovic, you know, pump the jab out, 1-2s, a lot of jabs, a lot of 2s, a lot of blitz 1-2s, a lot of 2-1-2s, just whatever. Like, he is there to be hit. He doesn't move his head too much, so you know, try and take advantage of that. Also, sit down on your punches if you are connecting and you are fighting the range. Look to really put him out. How I see this fight going. Yancy hasn't looked great since that war with Brazilian Cowboy. Like, he made Lando Vannata look like Prime Anderson Silva in their last fight. But this is a step down in competition for Yancy. Hadzovic is tough, but he isn't the most skilled fighter. I think it'll be mostly contested on the feet. I don't see Hadzovic getting Yancy down if he does try to wrestle. Yancy does have good takedown defense. Just Greg Gillespie is just that damn good at wrestling. You know, Yancy may not have the prettiest stand-up, but you can't say he's not active. Hadzovic, on the other hand, his inactivity has lost him fights in the past, so I can absolutely see Yancy just outworking Damir, just pretty much every time these guys fight. Hadzovic also isn't a big counter-puncher, which will allow Yancy just to kind of tee off on him with combinations without too much resistance, so yeah, I think this is a decent matchup for Yancy. And if you do like Hadzovic, maybe just play the KO line, because I don't see how he wins a decision here against the uber-aggressive Yancy Medeiros. Like, Hadzovic doesn't have much power, but if you think Yancy's chin is done, then the KO line is probably what you'd bet, because I don't see him winning a decision here very often, unless he gets, like, multiple knockdowns, and yeah, I just don't see it, honestly. But that's my thoughts. Alright, let's have a look at the betting lines. Alright, so the prediction is Yancey. I think he gets it done by decision. And yeah, I was surprised to see him as the underdog. I favour him around 65 to 70% of the time, maybe even 70 to 75% of the time. Like, he's just, every day of the week, he outvolumes Damir Hadzovic. And if he doesn't get knocked out, if you don't think he's completely washed, he's probably just going to pop the jab out and use his 5.5-inch reach advantage and just completely outvolume Damir. Damir is so low volume. I think there's going to be a big output discrepancy here. And yeah, I'm definitely betting Yancey as the underdog. Anything above $1.60 in my opinion is value. Like, anything over minus 170 is value. So you're definitely getting a good edge on that at the moment. You know, I think Damir's ground game isn't too good, so maybe I'll have a look at taking a stab on Yancey submission if it's like around plus 1100 or $12. And if you think Yancey's chin is just absolutely done, you know, Yancey has been like finished by strikes in around like 20% of his career fights, I think. So, you know, if you think his chin's absolutely done, then maybe have a stab at Damir KO, which would be like plus 650 or $7.50. And I think that's the only way Damir wins, honestly. Like, he's not a wrestler, he's not going to expose Yancey on the ground, he's not going to out-volume Yancey. I think he has to find a finish with like a huge punch, or just like get enough knockdowns that he can win a round. And, you know, I just don't... If Yancey's chin holds up, I think he just wins this on volumes any day that ends in Y.